The U.S. House of Representatives passed the DREAM Act on March 18th, 2021. There are so many details that I want to share with everybody because it's long, it's complex, and there's different requirements for different people. So let's get started. First of all, what is the DREAM Act? The DREAM Act is a pathway to citizenship for everyone who was brought to the United States as a child. It's something that other administrations, such as the Obama administration, has tried to pass and has been unsuccessful, but we're finally at a point where the Senate is reviewing and negotiating the DREAM Act, and we may have a decision if they're going to approve it and pass it as early as April 2021. There are different requirements for different people, but the most important thing you need to know is that the DREAM Act will grant a green card to those who qualify, and it will be valid for a 10-year period. It's also a way that you can travel freely outside of the United States without having to seek permission from Homeland Security. And you can also petition for other family members, such as your spouse and children, so that they can eventually get a green card as well. It has tons of benefits, but the most important one is that eventually those people with green cards become U.S. citizens. Who qualifies for the DREAM Act? We're going to break this down into two categories. We've got people who have DACA, and then we also have people who don't have DACA and who don't qualify with DACA. Let's start off with those who don't have DACA, because there are way more people in the United States without DACA that would be interested in applying for the DREAM Act and that would qualify. There are several requirements in order for you to qualify. Number one, that you have been physically in the United States since January 1, 2021. Number two, that you were 18 years old or younger at the time that you entered the United States, and that you have continuously lived in this country since your entry. Number three are educational requirements, that you graduated high school, that you have a GED, or that you have a technical degree. If you don't have those three things, you can still qualify if you enroll in a GED program or in a technical school. They will provide you with an enrollment verification letter, and you can provide that when you apply through the DREAM Act. Also, that you haven't persecuted any other person, and that you are not otherwise inadmissible to the United States. That's a little bit complex and legal, and certainly something that you want to discuss with your immigration attorney. And lastly, that you pass a background check. There are certain criminal offenses that will disqualify people from applying for the DREAM Act, and you have to pass the requirements and the background check in order to qualify. So those are all the requirements. Like everything in immigration, you must meet every single one in order to qualify. If there's a specific requirement that I just mentioned that you don't meet, it's possible that you can apply for a waiver, and it's possible that you can also do something to then meet the requirement. For example, I have a lot of clients who don't have a GED or a high school diploma and think that they can't apply, and that's incorrect information. Yes, you can apply, you just have to get enrolled into a GED program. The other group of people that qualify for the DREAM Act are those who already are DACA recipients. In other words, you have DACA, you have your DACA work permit, whether you've only had it once or you've had it 5 times, you can qualify. The difference between a DACA recipient and someone who doesn't have DACA is going to be the process. DACA recipients will have a faster, streamlined process in order to apply for the green card through the DREAM Act. Once your green card is granted by Homeland Security under the DREAM Act, then your green card will be a conditional green card. There's going to be conditions on it. What that means is that your green card is not permanent, it's not forever, and you'll have to apply to remove the conditions. In order to apply to remove the conditions, there are different ways and requirements that you can do that. Number one, once you complete 2 years of college or technical school and have a technical degree, that's enough to remove the conditions. Also, if you serve 2 years in the military, that's enough as well. If you were discharged from the military, it must be an honorable discharge. Number 3, if you can show that for the last 3 years before you applied to remove your conditions, you have been working with a DACA work permit, then that's the other way to apply as well. What happens if you can't meet any of those requirements? There is a hardship waiver that we could use, and it will be on a case-by-case basis. But that's how you'll be able to remove the conditions and then have what we call a permanent resident status, which is in fact your permanent green card. And after having your permanent green card for 5 years, generally under current immigration laws, that's when you would be eligible to apply for naturalization. Again, this is not law yet. You can't apply for a green card through the DREAM Act. Only the House of Representatives has passed this bill. If the Senate also passes the bill, then this law will go into effect, and Homeland Security must create the program and the application process and publish all of the instructions on what you need to do in order to apply for your green card.